Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And tonight, I just finished, of course, the Oban 18, which was a bit of an interruption because I've been doing quite a few peated whiskeys lately. And it's very, very slightly peated, but not as much as these whiskeys are. And of course, I'm going back to something I've been waiting on. I've been trying to get this for some time. I've actually been haggling with Jeff over this sample here. And I think, you know, Jeff's a good guy and all that. And we do lots of whiskey trading. But this one was kind of like a, you know, well, I can give you this or I can give you that. And I think a lot of it, he paid a lot for this stuff. More than what I would pay. But anyways, it cost me a little bit of my, my Pappy, my 12-year-old Pappy Van Winkle here. Because I wasn't willing to open up the 12 cask strength Springbank. That's a new bottle. You can see I haven't opened it yet. And I did have some samples that I did a review on, and I even have one of those samples left. I did give them a little bit of the 15 because that's a new 15 bottle, which was open. We were into it, but in return, I got the 18 in the Kilchoman. So I know he paid a lot at BSW for this. Now this was probably $330-ish, you know, for an 18-year-old. So that's why I've got a sample, and that's why I'm trading. It's just not. It's right now, unless I know that whiskey and I've sampled it. And for some reason, I just absolutely have to have it. It's a rare moment. You're going to see me pay that $335. It's a collector's price. But anyways, I'm here to do the review on it. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of information on this series. So the 20th anniversary, there was 4 bottles that that Anthony Wills he did for the 20th anniversary. So it's showing me that the two 14-year-olds here, one is ex-bourbon, one's ex-sherry, and the actual strength is 51.2% for the ex-bourbon, but it's 55% for the ex-sherry. I'm not sure exactly what that's all about, but they're both 5 casks. But the interesting thing is the ex-bourbon is producing 1,120 bottles. And the ex-sherry is producing 3,145 bottles. So I tell you, that's sherry butts versus your bourbon barrels there. So big difference, eh? Whether you're going into the hogsheads or whatever, those sherry butts are big. So those were the first 2 launches of the 20th anniversary, and then we had the 15 and then the 18. Now the 15 was again ex-sherry, like the 14 ex-sherry, and it's 52.7%. It's back down where, you know, closer to where the 14 ex-bourbon was. And I don't know why the 14 was up 55. You know, there must be a reason for it. Maybe it's location in the warehouse or whatever. But again, it has 5 casks, similar number of bottles, 3,153 bottles. So those were both, of course, sherry butts. Now we go into the 18, this guy here, and we're into the ex-bourbon. And it's 5 casks again, and now we're back to the 1,209 bottles. So similar to what, you know, we had with the 14-year-old. So I'm not going to say too much more. I basically smothered you with the history, all the stories about Kilchoman. We don't need to get into that tonight. This is just reviewing their first 18-year-old presentation. And they, you know, somebody said, well, what about a 20-year-old? Well, when this was launched, they weren't 20 years. Okay, there wasn't a 20-year-old cask, so it has a lot to do with even though they had started, you know, 20 years ago, they had trouble at first, and they only had so many casks that they had. They were able to fill. So with those challenges, the first year or two, there, you know, this is as good as it got. My understanding is they just launched the 20. So we're always going to be a little bit behind on this. But anyway, so far, this was the longest age presentation from Kilchoman. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get into this right away. We are going to pour that. So, the 18-year-old Kilchoman, their first 18-year-old. Let's see if this was worth the Pappy Van Winkle and a little bit of the 15 Springbank. Oh my golly. Did I say that? Jeff, if you're watching, I'm just kidding. Okay, appreciate it. Appreciate the trade. So let's start off with the nose. The nose to the Kilchoman 18. The reason I'm holding it up close, I'm a little bit plugged up tonight, so we have a lot of pollen in the air. Bad year for pollen here. So I'm getting a little bit of what I normally get from Islay, my rubber boots, my Haley Hansen rubber boots. And getting a little bit of the medicinal notes, the Band-Aids. And here comes a bit of the soot, some maritime notes, some menthol. I got some menthol here. Maybe that'll clear my nostrils. Eucalyptus, cough drops. Yeah, and it's definitely, carrying on that Kilchoman character, with the nose. Not as strong as I think the 13 though. But I think the 13 was 50, so this is 46. But anyways, let's go for the palate. 18-year-old Kilchoman, Salangeva. I'm getting a lot of the the citrus. Still getting a bit of a licorice taste to it. I'm not finding I found the nose a little peatier than the palate, and I'm going to say that I've got a bit of the peat, I've got a bit of the sootiness, but the nose I think was a little bit stronger. In other words, the palate's not delivering what the nose was delivering. But that can change. Citrus notes there, the vanillas for sure, the butterscotch. I mentioned the cough drops there, but they're more the mentholated cough drops. No burn or anything, it's 46%. It's interesting, I'm not a great coating on my mouth. I'm not really getting the coating on my mouth that I've been getting lately with, well, good Lord, I did an Amroot before I did the Oban, so I definitely had a pretty good coating with that, but it's, cask strength 60%, quite a bit different than a 46 or so. This is definitely coming in not quite with the punch that the Amroot did, or even, I'm going to say even the 13, or the 16. So, but the Kilchomans I've had, it's a refined Kilchoman. There's no question about that. And you definitely are getting a little bit of the cask, slight bit of a bite from the cask influence there. Yeah, you're tasting a bit of the wood, a bit of the oak. I'm going to go right for the development and the finish here. Salangeva. Wow. I'm not, nothing's really changing here. I'm in search of that, little bit heavier hit of peat, but I don't think I'm going to get it tonight. I'm still getting a bit of, a little bit of a campfire. a beach fire. Bit of that saltiness is coming through now. The maritime notes. This is presenting itself different from what I was expecting. I'm getting a lot of notes I would get from bourbon influence, and then some, but not so much the Islay peat notes that I was expecting. So, trying to figure that one out. Is it me tonight, or what's going on here? But this is not going to be a long finish. It's right now. It's coating my tongue. I am getting. I did mention the licorice. Certainly, a bit of aniseed going on here. There is a little bit of peppery stuff going on, but it's rare you're going to see this. With the development and the finish, I might have to move it a little bit farther. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to make a second effort at the development and the finish. I don't normally do this, but I'm trying to give this this dram here a fair review, considering what's invested here. So we're going to go after this again, the development and the finish. Okay, Salangeva. It's not that I don't enjoy this. This is about expecting maybe a little bit more, being an Islay whiskey, and good casks. I think they're decent casks. It seems that the peat is not what I was expecting, and maybe I'm trying to compare it with an Ardbeg, or maybe Brooklady, or Lafroig. It's not that same intensity, but and it's supposed to be 50 ppm, but I'm not relating that to 50 ppm. So, but I am getting a little better coating. But this is my my second shot at the development and the finish here, and the finish probably is going to be a little bit longer. I am starting to salivatate a bit, so there is definitely the bourbon notes. So we know that. Like I talk about the vanilla, butterscotch, citrus. So there's a little bit of apple stuff going on here. I would say the white fruit, peaches. The peat's gone. It's not there anymore, and I'd say the finish is gone now. So that's where we're at. I am now questioning whether I should add a few drops of water. Why not? It's a review. Let's see where this takes us. Well, what, 2 drops? I'm afraid to put any more, but yeah, 3. There you are, 3 drops. So it's rare that you see me go through and do a second shot on any of the different stages. When I'm trying to be consistent with my reviews, but I'm also trying to save this and give it a respectable review. And I'm wondering, is it me, or what's going on here? Now, I did read a lot of other reviews, and there are the odd review that, especially, you go through Whiskey Base and you see various other reviews on this, and there were some that said they thought it was the worst cask presentation of the 20th anniversary that has been introduced. So I did see that. I mean, there were a few people that they had several of the, they had the 14s and the 15, and they felt this was was certainly not up to what the other 2 were. So it doesn't necessarily mean that's where we're going with this, but let's just see what happens here with water, okay? We'll give a little bit of nose here. Oh, we're getting the peat again here. I'm getting the little bit of the. I'm getting the rubber boots and maritime notes. That salty maritime air, you know, seaweed, the kelp, and that's reassuring. Yeah, much better, much better. The water really brought it out there. So just those 3 drops there. And you know, I'm getting some spicy stuff going on here. A little bit of the allspice, I'd say. Maybe even some getting some cinnamon here. But that's mixed in with that. You know, some of the cinnamon's mixed in with that cough drop. That cough drop smell that you get from, I'm trying to remember which one it is, but it's got a bit of a cinnamon. It's a hot one. Yeah, and a bit of methylated stuff going on. Anyways, with water, the palate, Solangeva. It's a tasty dram. There's no question about it. We know that. But where is that smoky stuff? Where's the peat? You know, again, is it me? Am I filtering that out tonight? I would say the water brought out what it typically brings out, and that's the sweetness of the citrus, you know, a bit of orange and lemon, kind of a zesty thing, mixed in with, you know, some, I would say, some richer fruit notes. There is definitely when you talk about the peaches and the, you know, more like stewed peaches. There's a little bit of an apple pie thing going on. Which, you know, the finish is not that long. Yeah, the finish is fading fast. It's a drink, you could drink a lot of this in an evening and really enjoy it. For $335, I have a hard time with that. Now, I'm going to have a hard time giving this the scores that it's getting from other people. I'm putting this around an 85. But I realize Anthony Wills is trying to make some money. You know, he's trying to, you know, he's got to be able to make things pay. It's taken him a long time to get where he is now. So I understand the distillery business is not an easy business to be in. And the unpredictable times that are coming, you know, you try to make what you can while you can. So we are always going to bitch and complain about what they're charging for these whiskeys. But we also have to be, you know, diligent and look for the best deals and look for the best whiskeys for the price. And it's survival of the fittest. That's the way it is, unfortunately. You sympathize with these guys, but at the same time, you're a consumer. So my take on the whiskey is not going to be up to what I was expecting. It's only an 85 at the most, and maybe I'm even going beyond what I really feel like giving it, but that's where I'm going to leave it. So, I'll say no more. On that note, I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. Until the next time, so long.